Hello, and welcome back to the Hat Historian. In this video, I'll be talking about a hat that, along with a crisp dark suit and furled umbrella, is an essential attribute of the stereotypical English gentleman, the bowler. A low, stiff hat with a narrow brim and a domed crown, the bowler, also known on this side of the Atlantic as the derby, is an iconic symbol of Britishness, yet was also very popular in many other countries of the world. For decades it was the workday hat of choice from street laborers to bankers, and was omnipresent in a place where it has been eclipsed in popular memory, the American West. They have appeared on the heads of many legendary early movie stars, such as Charlie Chaplin or Laurel and Hardy, and become a traditional item of women's wear in Bolivia. So let us look at the history of this peculiar hat. The bowler has its origins with William Cook, 2nd Earl of Leicester in the late 1840s. Cook owned a vast estate at Holkham Hall, which was patrolled by mounted gamekeepers to ensure that it was kept in good order. These men were dressed in the formal style of the time, including cutaway tailcoats and top hats. These hats, however, were impractical for the task, as their tall shape caused them to be knocked off by tree branches as the keepers rode around the estate, and be damaged when falling to the ground. William's brother Edward began thinking about a solution, and roughly sketched a design that he brought in 1849 to the famous haberdashery Lock & Co., which still exists today in London. There, the shop's chief hatters were commissioned to create a practical, low-crowned hat that would not get knocked off and was stiff enough to protect the wearer from passing branches. The hatters, Thomas and William Bowler, created the item of headwear that would in time bear their name, and in December 1849, Mr. Cook returned to see the result. According to legend, he took the hat, placed it on the floor, gave it 2 vigorous stomps, and, satisfied that it had withstood his test without damage, paid 12 shillings for it, or about £50 in today's money. Thus, the first bowler hat was sold. The hat, which was originally called the Cook after the man who commissioned it, as per Lock & Co. tradition, quickly proved to be a success. Its low crown made it very stable, unlikely to be knocked off by wind and obstacles. Thomas and William Bowler soon began marketing the hat themselves under their own name, and it rapidly became popular amongst the working class, who appreciated its tight fit and the stiffness of the material, which could provide a modicum of protection to their heads. For a long time, you'd be likelier to see a bowler hat on a workman than a gentleman banker, who in the mid-19th century would have still favored the top hat. The bowler made its way around Europe, and eventually crossed the Atlantic to America, where it became known as a derby. The name, amusingly enough, comes from another Englishman, Edward Stanley, Earl of Derby, different pronunciation, who set up a horse race that came to bear his name. Other horse races in the English-speaking world soon became known as derbies, or derbies, including the famous Kentucky Derby, and well-dressed gentlemen who attended it often wore bowlers, giving it its American name. In America, it soon spread to workers and cowboys. One tends to think of the wide-brimmed cowboy hat as the iconic Western hat, but in fact, by sheer number of wearers, the hat that won the West was in fact the bowler, which was appreciated for its tight fit, which made it less likely to blow off in the wind or on horseback, its hard construction, which protected the head to some extent, and of course its sharp look. Worn by outlaws and lawmen alike, from Billy the Kid to Bat Masterson, it is only Hollywood movies that have given us the image of the wide-brimmed, hat-wearing cowboy, when these hats tended to be more confined to ranchers in sunny climates like Texas. Though originally popular with the working class, they eventually replaced it with the softer and easier-to-put-away flat cap, which is the subject of another video. The stiff bowler became popular with the upper city classes, however, becoming the preferred daily headwear of bankers, lawyers, and businessmen, particularly in the city of London, hence the popular image they are associated with today. This image can be seen in many films, and indeed Mr. Banks of Mary Poppins, seen in a proper bowler for most of the movie, has it ceremoniously destroyed as a sign of his demotion from the bank. This high position continued amongst all well-dressed men until after World War I, when it began to be replaced by softer hats such as the fedora, and thence retreated to more conservative circles. In the movie world, it also saw great popularity in the beginning of the 20th century as an accessory for comedic characters such as Chaplin's Tramp, the famous duo Laurel and Hardy, or the Three Stooges. Brown bowlers are also sometimes used in period films, or cartoons evoking stock characters, as the mark of a tough Cockney bruiser, often accompanied by a large cigar. On the other end of the cinematic spectrum, they can be seen as a mark of British sophistication, such as the suave Patrick Macnee in The Avengers, a show whose French name, Chapeau melon et bottes de cuir, actually translates as bowler hat and leather boots, or the ever-proper valet Jeeves in Jeeves and Wooster. Its era of preponderance ended, as indeed with all hats, with the 1960s, when more relaxed dress codes began to permeate through society, and headwear was less and less required. Only a few people hung on to them as part of daily wear, and they had almost entirely vanished by the 1970s. But that does not mean they are completely gone. One particular place where they established themselves, and remain to this day, is among Quechua women of Bolivia, where it is known as the Bombin. Tale has it that an enterprising Englishman shipped a stock that he hoped to sell to English workers building railroads there, but they were either too small or the wrong color for the men. A local businessman recuperated the consignment, which he sold to local women by claiming it to be the latest European fashion, worn perched high on the head. It has since become a proud part of local costume, and according to a local custom is worn high on the head if the woman is married, and tilted if she is single or widowed. The bowler is scarcely seen in its country of origin nowadays, but remains part of the traditional outfit of retired cavalry unit members on parade, along with the umbrella naturally. Some hat aficionados also enjoy trying to resurrect it and go for that classically English look, and it is a fashion item popular amongst some hipster groups or women going for a counterculturally retro look. The less formal colored version is also popular amongst jazz groups emulating the look of the interwar years, and cheap green versions are often seen at St. Patrick's Day parades. A plumed version of the hat is also the dress headgear of the Norwegian Royal Guard, who adopted it after Princess Louise, seeing a regiment of Italian bersaglieri in their plumed hats, requested similarly flamboyant hats for her soldiers in 1860. And finally, in its birthplace of Hokham Hall, the 8th and current Earl of Leicester, descendant of the brothers who originally commissioned the hat, to this day gives a brand new bowler hat to his gamekeepers after 1 year of service. So I once again hope you enjoyed this video, and will join me again soon for another hat. Until then, I tip my hat to you.